Hello everyone, and welcome back to Female General, Eldest Princess. Story we started about a week or so ago and haven't gotten too far in, so if you've not listened before, you haven't missed much and we'll catch you up. Hello Akatsuki, Jeff, Natasha, Phil, welcome. Let me see if I found it. But there are no kitties. There are no kitties today, so I guess I will set it in reach in case they come visit. Gandalf is sleeping on the bed being a lazy bum. So, for those who weren't with us last time, Female General, Eldest Princess. The easiest thing to compare it to is Mulan, just because that's the only, major comparison the West has that's kind of similar. Female character dresses up as her brother to go to war because her whole village was killed and she wants to avenge them, so she's breaking the rules in order to do so. Much darker version than the hilarious movie that totally didn't have anything to do with how I grew up attracted to Mulan. I feel like every young gay loved that movie, I swear. So she's in the military, she's hiding her identity, but she's very talented because she works at it so hard. She is trying so much to hide and also be as good as she can be. So there's this balance of she's not trying to get promoted, but she's not trying to get overlooked, and she has this one buddy that's kind of helping her out. And last time, after some training and some background discussions, they were about to go into their first big battle of the story. I think that's my ship delivery. The main love interest is the princess of the country, which is China, but not, it wasn't called China at this time. I don't remember what they called it here. I'm sure we'll get to it. She is now going to be, I guess, the Empress because her mom just passed away. Her younger brother is probably too young to rule, I think they said, but I'm sure that that's going to be some drama coming in the future. Sweet. Cool. When's Easter weekend? My cousin just asked if I'd animal babysit for the weekend at some point. But that'll be later. Just messaging her back. So, we are jumping back into chapter 4. Let's see where we are. We do have a kitty! Hello, Bubby. You say hi? Can you say hi? You say hi, everyone? You say hi? Am I getting a ship delivered? Yeah, sure. That's exactly what it is, and not just boring groceries. Say hi, Bob. Bobby. You say hi? Let's see if he'll do this. Oh, come on. Do the thing. Do the thing. Can you do it? Yeah! He does this thing I call swimming, where whenever I hold him and he wants down, he just starts doing that. It's adorable. He says, Mom, that's embarrassing. All right, go ahead and start. Chapter 4. Diminished Fragrance and Shattered Jade, the Fall of Ching Chung. I'm sure this is going to go well. In Tiandu City, the capital of Li Kingdom, inside a splendid palace chamber that leaned nearer to the east in the royal palace's axis, dozens of palace maids and eunuchs were walking around. However, not a sound could be heard in the entire courtyard. Everyone breathed quietly. Even their footsteps were careful and controlled, in a manner of great trepidation. Give scritches? Everybody wants me to give you scritches, Bob. Is that okay? Let me move the keyboard. You give Bob scritches? Scritches. He gives scritches. Mommy's sitting in front of the computer. That means Bob has to sit on Mom's lap. That's the law. Every day. This is the law, right, Bob? Oh, you're purring. Oh my god. Let's see if we can hear it. You purr for everyone? Say hi. Can y'all hear him? Alright. You're distracting, Bob. Even their footsteps were careful and controlled, in a manner of great trepidation. Shianner will stay. The rest may go now. Understood. On a spacious bed with an intricately carved bed frame. Oh, wait a minute. Have we read this chapter? This is where the mom dies, right? I thought we only read 3 chapters. Maybe I pushed it to 4 because we were having a good time. Let me make sure. It does look like this is the part where mom dies. Okay, yeah, because it ends with charge, and that's where we stopped, was the battle starting. All right, so we are in Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Not Knowing That Wanya is a Woman. That's our main character, in case you forgot. Wanya. Did we see the princess's name? I'm sure we'll come to it. The Li Kingdom's infantry soldiers rushed quickly out of the military camp with deafening shouts. Once the entire infantry battalion had rushed out, although they were all running forwards in one group, one could see from a bird's-eye view that each unit of infantry soldiers had silently agreed to form an attack formation. The sound of arrows breaking through the air passed by Lin Wanye's ears from time to time. Even if the archers on the barrack wall would disperse the Huns' forces, there were still more than a few fallen people before Lin Wanye's way. In this dense rain of arrows, Lin Wanye brushed shoulders with the god of death again and again. The amplitude of the ground's vibration was getting bigger and bigger. The thunderous drone of horse hooves kicked up clouds of dust. Closer. They were getting even closer. Her name is spelled W-A-N, Wan. A's in Chinese are like father, fa, wan. Yu, like Y-U-E, but with an E on the end, it kind of has like a sound. So it's not just you, like Y-O-U, it's more like yu, wan yu. Yeah. I've been practicing a lot. I have an entire notebook. I'm very proud of myself. Listen, this is the first time in my life I felt like I've made headway in learning a language, okay? I failed French, I failed Spanish, I failed Latin. I'm finally making it, y'all. I found my language. Let's see here. Dreadful shouts ran all around. The Hun cavalry and Li Kingdom's infantry soldiers have already completed the first clash of the battle. For the first round, Lin Wanye did not join the many soldiers to charge at the advancing Hun cavalry with spears. She kept her spear diagonally before her in defense instead, keeping her spirit highly concentrated as she looked at the Hun cavalry coming in full force. She adjusted her defense position as needed. For the past 2 years, Lin Wanye had already clashed with the Huns for nearly 100 battles, both big and small. She had long since gotten a feel of the Huns' patterns. Nearly all of the Huns... Oh, I missed a semicolon. I should make this bigger. My glasses are out of date now, and I need new ones, but my check hasn't come in yet. Nearly all of the Huns used scimitars and rode on horses, while only an extreme few used spears. They attack at full force. The first clash has always been the round with the greatest casualties for Li Kingdom's troops. To fight recklessly in this time was most unwise. Aw, thank you, Julie, for becoming a member. Be sure to... I looked where the camera normally is. The camera's over here. Thank you for becoming a member. Be sure to click the link in the description to get your bonuses, except I have to update that website, so they won't be available yet. But they will be by the end of today. And Gandalf's also come to say hello. Say hi, Gandhi. Hi. You joke, Natasha, but I genuinely think it is the fact that there's something to engage with. Something, when you have ADHD, as I do, having a story to engage with when you're trying to learn something is way more helpful. Like, watching Chinese TV and, like, reading practicing the language while I'm listening definitely gives me something better to, like, focus on and try and understand. Whereas I could not trying to practice a language with strangers in class when you're young and anxious and, God, just not good timing either. Definitely the lack of stress is, I'm sure, part of it as well. Pretty sure it's pronounced scimitar. What did I say? Scimitar? Listen. I said I was learning Chinese. I didn't say I was good at English. Alright. Let's see here. Lin Wanyue stood in a wide stance. Following the ding-ding-ding sound of impact, her grip on the spear turned numb. The dreadful shouts of Li Kingdom's soldiers would spread over from time to time, but Lin Wanyue had successfully survived once again without any harm. After the first clash with the Huns, a gleam flashed in Lin Wanyue's eyes. The brief moment when the Huns turned around after the first charge was the most precious chance for a counterattack. Lin Wanyue looked around everywhere. She noticed there was a Hun cavalry turning his horse around, not at a diagonal front before her. He was not that far away. Lin Wanyue did not hesitate to wield her spear as she rushed towards this Hun cavalry. Following a furious cry of "Ha!" Lin Wanyue's spear pierced precisely through the Hun cavalry's neck. Fresh blood gushed out from the broken artery. It sprayed out with a curve in the air, then splattered down all around. Lin Wanyue pulled out the bloodied spear, but she did not dare remain standing for a single moment. She went to the side of the dead Hun's warhorse right away, keeping her back to the horse. She curved her body so as to hide her back and head as much as possible behind it. With a hand gripping the spear, she continued to observe the surrounding battle with her other hand pressed on the handle of the podao on her waist. See, I'm gonna check that sound one time. I now have a notebook that just has the words written down, not my practice and stuff, just like a dictionary I can look up, make sure I'm saying things right. AU is like boulder, I think. No, that's OU. AU. Where's AU? There's no AU listed here. Where are you, compound vowel? Am I just not reading right? Damn it. It doesn't say. Oh man, I'll have to Google that. I think it's like oh. Okay, podao on her waist. God, I'll have to double check that. Following the dreadful shouts that rose one from another, more than a few Hun cavalry had been brought down from their horses by the Li Kingdom's spear-wielding soldiers. They were then pierced through by those spears, leaving a dreadful shout and a pool of dark red blood. At the same time, more than a few Li Kingdom soldiers had their lives shortened by the scimitars of the Hun cavalry. After a brief analysis of the situation, Lin Wanyue promptly gave up the spear in her hand. She pulled out the podao. God, it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna Google it. Googling it. Podao. How to say it? Okay, podao. Podao. I think it is podao, because it has a long sign, I'm going to guess. I must write my own AU for this story. I don't know if how would I do that? Let's see. After a brief analysis of the situation, Lin Wanyue promptly gave up on the spear in her hand. She pulled out the podao on her waist. I'm gonna second guess myself for, I get anxious about this, I'm sorry. Li Kingdom's war drums were still maintaining the same tempo of don don don. Two flanks of cavalry had spread out as a net, gathering the surroundings. The Hun infantry had rushed up now too. Lin Wanyue wielded her podao as she went forward once again. She faced a Hun soldier who was dressed in the pelts of beasts, wielding a scimitar. Excitement flashed past Lin Wanyue's eyes. She gripped her podao as she rushed forward. Ding! Lin Wanyue's podao struck heavily onto the Hun's scimitar. Seeing that the tall and built Hun had been struck into a stagger because of her, Lin Wanyue curved a corner of her lips tauntingly. At the same time, she raised her right foot to kick heavily into the Hun's abdomen. The Hun hunched over in pain. Lin Wanyue stomped forwards at once to raise her podao once again, then chopped heavily downwards. Seeing this, the Hun had no choice but to raise his scimitar again to block it, but his stance was not steady due to the pain. Added with the heavy blow of Lin Wanyue's podao, this Hun stepped 2 steps back, losing his balance. He crashed heavily on the ground. Hello, Shameless Otaku. Am I going to continue Scum Villain? Yes. That's what we read last time, right? Yes, we did. I'm kind of... Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are web novel days, and I've kind of alternated which ones we read, just, you know, I'm not really doing it specific days, but we'll do one once a week, so Heaven Official's Blessing, Scum Villain, female general until they're finished. And then I have a list of other ones that we need to read that we will get to. All right. Lin Wan Yue raised her blade as she came forward again. One of her feet stepped on the Hun's scimitar, while her other heavily stomped on the Hun's chest. The tall and built Hun did not expect for this shorty to actually have so much strength. With this stomp, some cracks sounded within his body, following the intense pain in his chest. His throat sweetened before a mouthful of fresh blood spurted out. The Hun that was stepped on by Lin Wan Yue saw with wide-open eyes the smiling face of this skinny and tanned Li Kingdom soldier, who revealed a row of clean white teeth. Lin Wan Yue raised her hands, then swung her blade. With a pooh! Fresh blood splattered all over her face. After that, a round head with bulging wide eyes of bewilderment rolled away to the side. Following the battle's progress, Lin Wan Yue gripped her poto as she shuttled back and forth between the flow of people in battle. Whenever she saw Huns who displayed the back of their heads to her, she would not hesitate to simply swing her blade. I misread that because of my frickin' to supply the swing of her blade. That's a weird way to say that. But I presume it sounded better in Chinese. I guess they're saying, like, he offered his head, so she took it. At the same time, she kept her eyes open, doing her best not to reveal her back to the enemy. An hour later, Lin Wan Yue's clothes of coarse cloth had been soaked through by fresh blood. The Li Kingdom's outer flank of cavalry had started to draw in. When the Huns, who had come looking for trouble, saw that the enemy was beginning to surround them, they chose to retreat at once. Lin Wan Yue gripped her poto as she intended to pursue, but she stopped her steps at once when she heard the change in tempo of the war drums. The Huns had run away. All of the Li Kingdom's soldiers who had survived pumped their weapons up as they screamed excitedly to the sky. Lin Wan Yue stood still as she watched the Huns run far away. Suddenly her knees weakened. She sprawled onto the ground. After sprawling for a good while, she started to feel a sharp throbbing pain coming from her leg. She had not noticed that she was hurt. Gah! Gah! That's how it would be said. Gah! Lin Yu had already been searching for Lin Wan Yue's figure among the crowd once the battle ended, but she suddenly toppled forwards when he had just found her. It scared Lin Yu so much that he shouted as he ran to Lin Wan Yue's side at the speed of fire. He flipped over Lin Wan Yue's body, then hugged her in his arms as he shouted anxiously, "Gah! Are you all right? Gah! How are you feeling? Where are you hurt?" Lin Wan Yue lay in Lin Yu's arms as she lacked the strength all over her body. Other than the steady pain coming from the wound in her leg, there was also a dull pain in her abdomen. Suddenly, Lin Wan Yue felt something warm sludge out from between her legs. Seeing that Lin Wan Yue still seemed to be quite alert, even though her complexion was somewhat paler than usual, Lin Yu let out a great breath. He started to look up and down to see where she was hurt. Presently, Lin Wan Yue's face and body were full of bloodstains. Her clothes were even more soaked through with blood. Lin Yu saw there was a 1-inch-long wound on Lin Wan Yue's thigh. He thought to himself, no wonder he fell over. His leg's been hurt. Suddenly, Lin Yu saw that a dark color was slowly spreading from between Lin Wan Yue's legs. After being stunned for a moment, Lin Yu reflexively shut his own legs together. His expression as he looked at Lin Wan Yue changed. He cried internally, "It's over! Daga has lost too much from this battle. He's the last of his family line now!" Lin Yu looked at Lin Wan Yue's ghastly pale face. Then he looked at Lin Wan Yue's injury. His expression went through a few changes, but he could not think of how to describe her condition in words. So for the moment, all that he could do was shut his mouth and say nothing. Oh my god. That sucks, though. Start your period in the middle of a battle. And, of course, he thinks she lost, the ding-dingaling. Daga is a term for, like, older brother. Da means old, ga is brother, guga is brother. I think you can shorten it as, like, a cutesy way, or add it to something else. I haven't come across family names in my book yet. I just know that from fanfiction. Chapter 6. A breeze rises, causing ripples. The courtyard of Fengshao Palace was full of kneeling palace maids and servants who were dressed in mourning attire. The Li Kingdom's eldest princess, Li Xian, and crown prince, Li Ju, kneeled in the mourning hall. Braziers with flickering flames were placed before the coffin made of Phoebe's Jenan wood, while Li Xian and Li Ju would add paper money into the braziers from time to time. Li Xian's gaze was somewhat distant as she looked at the braziers before her. No one could perceive what she was reminiscing about. Senior Chu and noble Pengyan Shizi have come to give their condolences to her lady the Empress. Shizi means son of an aristocrat. Royal sister! Li Ju helped up Li Xian from the ground with practiced movements. A moment later, Senior Chu Li Xuan and noble Pengyan Shizi Li Zhong entered the grand hall. Xian greets brother Senior Cho. Li Xuan. I'm gonna double check this. UAN is like... Wan. Yeah, it's like a W sound. Wan. Li Xuan. Li Zhong greets His Highness the Crown Prince, Her Highness the Eldest Princess. Senior Chu Li Xuan, the son of Consort Liang, was 25 years old. Presently, Li Xuan was dressed in a senior's black robes. He did not spare any more looks at Li Xian and Li Ju after the greeting. He went straight to Li Qingchong's coffin, gave a courtesy, then he scattered a handful of paper money in the brazier. He turned around to walk back to Li Xian's side. He said coldly, "Fortune is fickle for all people. Royal sister need not be too grieved. This lord will not stay longer, as I have things to do." Then he turned around to say to noble Pengyan Shizi Li Zhong, Go to Huaqing Palace to find this lord later. With that said, he walked out of the grand hall with quick strides. Yes, the Empress died. That is correct. That is what happened. They are now doing the funeral rites, which is very, very complex and involves a lot of time. Especially, I imagine the Empress, she probably, like, everybody's in black for 8 months or something. I don't know. Princess. Noble Pengyan Shizi Li Zhong's eyes had not left Li Xian from the moment he walked into the hall. Ever since he'd first entered the palace at 14 years of age, when he saw Li Xian for the first time, who had been 12, he'd always been seeing her in his dreams. His heart no longer had the space for anyone else. Hey, Leon. Did she die on the last reading? Yes, she passed away. She had been ill for quite some time. What was with that guy? I feel he was very disrespectful. Yeah, he was. If you didn't catch that, he's the son of one of the concubines, I think is what it said. So obviously he's kind of... So he's a guy related to the emperor and the empress, and technically is not in line for the throne because he's a concubine's son, but he could probably argue that he has more of a right to it because he's a guy and then the princess is a girl. I'm gonna guess that that's kind of what they're gonna hint at some stuff there. I bet. Let's see. Li Xian's eyes were presently somewhat swollen, but it did not have any effect on her beauty that could overthrow cities. In Li Zhong's eyes, it had also made her appear even more delicate and moving to the heart. The princess need not be too grieved. Here... As he said that, Li Zhong took out a silk handkerchief to give to Li Xian. Li Xian did not make any expression in regards to Li Zhong's gallantry. She had long since been aware this person's eyes had been sticking to her ever since he entered the hall. Presently, she simply stood quietly before Li Zhong. She did not accept his handkerchief. Instead, she looked calmly at his eyes and said quietly, "Shizi need not be too courteous. But is Shizi not giving a courtesy to my Empress Mother first?" What's a concubine? Okay, so, they're allowed to have multiple partners. A concubine's somebody you get to have fun with, but is not your wife. I think that they're also allowed to have multiple wives, but that's different. I don't think it said... I think it said he was the son of a concubine, right? No, consort. And I think that's maybe something similar. I don't think consort's the same as wife. Basically, yeah, I think it's someone who was sexually involved with the emperor but doesn't quite have the status of a wife. One of the harem, I assume. Li Xian's voice was like ethereal melodies to Li Zhang. Her voice went through his ears, then it seeped into his heart and lungs. He looked at Li Xian in a completely infatuated manner. Then he finally realized what she'd said after a good while. He hurried to turn around to come to Li Qingchang's coffin at once. He gave a grand courtesy, respectfully, before adding plenty of paper money into the brazier. Then he got up to return to Li Xian's side. State-approved mistress. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, basically. But by then, Li Xian had already taken out her own silk handkerchief to lightly wipe at the corner of her eyes. Seeing this, Li Zhang had to keep his handkerchief lamely back in his chest. As noble Pingyan Shizi and brother Senior Chu have come through a long journey, I will now give my thanks here. May Shizi make an allowance for my unfit treatment of guests. Not at all, princess. Her lady the Empress has left in advance. May the princess not be too grieved. The princess's health is important. Many thanks to Shizi's concern. I will keep it in mind. Li Xian stood there, still looking at Li Zhang quietly, as if she was patiently waiting for Li Zhang to continue speaking. However, Li Zhang found that he did not know how to start another conversation after such an answer from Li Xian. He was infatuated with her, and had even wished he could stick by her side all the time. That was why, when he heard the Empress had passed, he voluntarily requested to follow Senior Chu to travel over hundreds of miles just to see Li Xian again. At this very moment, the person he'd been constantly thinking about was standing right in front of him, and she was even smiling faintly as she looked at him. But why did he suddenly feel as if she was far beyond his reach? Oh, baby. Oh, baby, she's a lesbian. Just as Li Zhang was feeling loss in his heart, Li Xian said quietly, Shizi must be tired from a long journey. How about converging with brother Senior Chu first and having some rest? Hearing that from Li Xian, Li Zhang secretly let out a breath in his heart. He said happily to her, Then Zhang shall bid his leave. Senior Qi and noble Wushang have also come to give their condolences to her lady the Empress. Right after noble Pingyan Shizi, Li Zhang was sent away. Senior Qi and noble Wushang arrived next. Senior Qi was the son of consort Xian, and he was 26 years old. He was different from all the other seniors. When Senior Qi was a prince, he had already led soldiers and fought battles, accumulating impressive military merits. When he became an adult, he voluntarily requested for his sealed lands to be the Qi lands at the border. He gained a good name for having his land be the barrier for the Li Kingdom, and it was exactly because of this that Senior Qi was the only senior to be granted military power. Noble Wu Shuang was originally a general under Senior Qi's command. Once Senior Qi had received his sealed land, noble Wu Shuang had also been sealed as a noble through his own military merit. Thinking to this point, Li Xian sighed faintly in her heart. Senior Chu received favor, while Senior Qi possessed military power. The crown prince is young and without support. Uncle is not great with political tactics and only knows how to lead an army to fight battles. Xian'er greets brother Senior Qi. This subject, Li Jian, greets His Highness the Crown Prince. This subject, Xia Noble Wu Shuang, greets His Highness the Crown Prince, greets Her Highness the Eldest Princess. Li Xian hurried to hold Li Jian's arms before he could give his courtesy. Why does brother Senior Qi need to be so courteous? Li Jian gave a lukewarm smile towards Li Xian. He did not continue to give his courtesy, but said, Courtesy must not be abandoned. The Crown Prince is the heir of the kingdom. There is naturally a difference between a monarch and a subject. Hearing this, Li Xian gave a pleasant smile. She answered, We are all from the same roots, hence the hierarchy of age should be followed. There are no outsiders here. If brother Senior Qi must debate matters of etiquette with Xian'er, then since an older brother is higher, this royal sister shall give a courtesy instead. As she said that, Li Xian nudged Li Ju. The latter understood at once, but he respectfully gave Li Jian a level courtesy as he said, Ju'er greets brother Senior Qi. Courtesy in this case, I think they're referring to, like, the bowing. I think guys have to do something like this. I don't know that women do, but clearly they have to, like, they they curtsy or bow. I don't remember what it's called, but when you meet somebody like that, you have to be courteous, and there's rankings where, like, an older person gets courtesy, a royal person so they're arguing here, like, who has the higher status to be considered, I need to be polite to you, that kind of thing. They're being polite. Li Jian hurried to help up Li Ju from his courtesy. Then he looked at Li Xian with a smile as he said, "Royal sister has truly grown up in 2 years." Li Xian curved the corners of her lips, showing 2 faint dimples. Li Jian came before Li Qingcheng's coffin. He gave a respectful courtesy, then he scattered an adequate amount of paper money. Noble Wu Shuang followed right after. Once that was done, Li Jian came up before Li Xian to say quietly, "I shall not stay longer for today. Once the matters in Fengxiao Palace have all been done, you and I, brother and sister, can meet again. Safe travels for brother Senior Qi." Li Xian gave her salutations towards Li Jian. The latter gave a smile, and he brought noble Wu Shuang with him as he walked out of the grand hall. Li Xian saw Li Jian and xia noble Wu Shuang off with her eyes. Once they both left Fengxiao Palace, she crouched down to meet Li Ju's eyes at the same level. She said in a volume that only the 2 siblings could hear, "How does Ju'er feel about brother Senior Qi and brother Senior Chu?" Li Ju tilted his head to the side as he thought for a bit. Then he answered, "Senior Chu has no respect for anyone but himself. Brother Senior Qi is a good person." Hearing this from Li Ju, Li Xian could not help but smile. But ache filled her heart once she thought of her recently departed Empress Mother again. Li Xian rested her delicate hand lightly on Li Ju's still tender shoulders. Then she said, "Ju'er, remember what Zheje is going to say next, but you must never bring it up again and never ask why. Remember that for anyone who asks you that same question, no matter who they are, including Emperor Father, including the servants by your side, and even the Grand Preceptor, you always have to answer, Brother Senior Chu is a good person, Brother Senior Qi is also a good person. They are both members of Li Kingdom's royal family, and your older brothers of the same ancestors. However, you must forever remember this in your heart. No matter how they treat you from now on, Brother Senior Qi is a bad person. Brother Senior Chu is also a bad person." So this seems to imply the Emperor is still alive, but I guess the Empress was the one in charge. Cool. The 8-year-old Li Ju widened his eyes with some uncertainty once he heard Li Xian's words, but under Li Xian's full attention, he took a while to digest it. Then he nodded obediently. He said, "I've remembered it." Li Xian straightened up her body. She pulled her younger brother close to her side. Then she looked at Empress Mother's coffin without speaking for a long time. Poor baby. Having to protect her little baby brother when she just lost her mom. And she's she's like a teenager here. Ugh. Poor babies. Chapter 7. Amidst shading willows and blooming flowers, another village appears. Where's my water? Are we playing something later, or are we going to watch horror in Discord? I'm not sure yet, but we do have new episodes of Word of Honor came out, and we still haven't caught up with the show. So I don't know. Either we'll play Dishonored, or maybe we'll watch that if folks are free to watch it. We'll have to see what people want to do when we're done here. A few days had passed since the little victory against the Huns. General Li Mu's military camp welcomed a brief period of peace and quiet. However, a diligent figure had been missing for the entire time. Lin Wanyue, who had her thigh wounded by a scimitar. Speaking of it, Lin Wanyue had a very unique existence in the infantry battalion. She could be said to be the only person in the entire infantry battalion who had survived 2 years without getting a promotion. For a position with the highest rate in casualties, if someone like that had not been promoted or transferred in 2 years, they would absolutely count as a veteran in the infantry battalion. With the fact that Lin Wanyue kept strictly to herself and how unsociable she was, it could be said she had no friends other than Lin Yu. But that did not mean that the other people did not respect Lin Wanyue. In the military camp, the relationships between people were pure and simple. Lin Wan Yue's hard work and her valiance during battle was clear to everyone. That was why the troop leader did not say anything about her absence in the daily drill when her leg was injured. However, Lin Yu was full of worries today. He understood what kind of person Lin Wan Yue was very well. He remembered there was a time when Lin Wan Yue's arms had been broken by a Hun's warhorse, but she had still tolerated the pain to participate in drills. Thinking to this point, Lin Yu remembered the scene of that day again. A patch of dark red had grown slowly between Lin Wan Yue's legs. Lin Yu sighed a heavy breath. For a man to lose that important part, this has probably been a huge blow to Xinge. Ge, it's time to eat. Lin Yu brought the bowls of food back to the tent. He saw that Lin Wan Yue was sitting at her usual spot on the wooden bed with a ghastly pale expression. She was holding a wooden board that she kept rubbing over with her hand. Ge, it's time to eat. Lin Yu sat down by Lin Wan Yue's side to give the bowl to her. Lin Wan Yue was pulled out from her memories to see Lin Yu's concerned expression. She returned an assuring smile, then said, Thank you. My leg is already much better. I will participate in the drill tomorrow. Lin Yu was silent for a while. He shoved food into his mouth, then he mumbled, A leg injury can be both major or trivial. The Huns should be modest for 10 days to half a month after this battle. Since it's not autumn right now, Huns don't need to stock up on winter rations, so they probably won't come so frequently. See, our meat's gone thinner again. Lin Wan Yue was humored by Lin Yu's words. She cracked her mouth open, but even though she wanted to smile, she could not quite do it. Lin Wan Yue lowered her head to look at the food in her bowl without any appetite. The danger that came from getting her first period was a suffocating pressure. Oh my god, it's her first one! Oh my god, baby! They're so little! Oh my god! Oh, I was just sitting here thinking, like, how's she been hiding it up till now? She hasn't, because she's been a baby! I'm so emotional now. The danger that came from getting her first period. Don't leave, Bob. I'm sorry I was loud. Just stay. Just stay. Just stay. Just stay. Just stay. Delvin's asking, do they want a battle? Okay, there's a lot of history here. And I'm sure the book's, I don't know that the book's going to get into this or not, and I am not qualified to get into it too deeply. But, if you look at a map of China, there's a lot of mountains on, like, the left. There's a lot of mountains. It basically splits the country in half to a certain point, and the Himalayas are on the end near India, kind of India-Nepal area. And then there's this central plains area that borders on the bottom a lot of water and marshlands and forests, or at least used to be forests at various periods of history. And then at the top, there's a lot of desert and dry land where the mountains cut the wind and the water off, and so it's a lot harder to get resources, a lot harder to grow things there. It's like two different countries almost, how different the weather is in the north versus the south. And at various points in history, typically, the culture that had control of the center is where the power was. The Han people, for a major point of history, various different groups. I think at this point, I don't know what point this particular bit of history is kind of based on, because it is fiction. But basically, the Huns are a term for a group of people from Mongolia, I believe. But there's like a bajillion different tribes in all these areas. But Mongolia's up near that, like, northern desert area. There's not a lot of resources up there. They were nomadic people. They would travel on horseback and forage for what they need. And as the Han people, or whatever empire at the time, was spreading, because they wanted more land and more power and more resources, they were taking from the people in the north and what little they already didn't have. So at this point, the reason for the Huns invading is they need stuff. And various points in history, there have been wars between nomads in the north, between people in the west. There have been lots of different tribes and groups that have fought against the main people in the center, because the center groups often were spreading out and taking over and taking resources. There's lots of really, really in-depth history here. But of course, our hero, Lin Yue, was just a normal, ordinary peasant in the Central Plains who just, what history of this does she know? She just knows the Huns killed her family. I'm interested to see how this story kind of explains this war and everything, and if it will. But that's kind of a lowdown. That's why this keeps happening. All right, let's see here. Yeah, and the character even says the Huns don't need to stock up on winter rations. He's talking about, they steal food. All right, let's see. Ever since she had enlisted as a 14-year-old, she'd always thought that just with diligent training, just by putting in a few times more hard work than other people did, she could compensate for the disadvantage in her gender. But she'd completely forgotten girls would have periods. As a 16-year-old, she would count as becoming an adult after her first period. This would be a meaningful event for girls of average families. But for her, this was a hazard that could get her beheaded. Seeing that Lin Wan Yue's complexion was ghastly pale as she held the bowl in a trance, Lin Yu's heart was heavy too. So he tried to shift Lin Wan Yue's attention by asking, "Guh, what's that wooden board you were holding just now? You bring that with you, even on the battlefield?" Hearing that, Lin Wan Yue put the bowl aside. She turned around to take up the wooden board behind her. "You mean this?" Lin Yu studied the wooden board in Lin Wan Yue's hands, which looked rather unremarkable. It was a flat and tough wooden board with rows of irregular scratches on its surface. "It's nothing special. It's just a normal wooden board I brought with me from my hometown." "Then what are those scratches on it?" "These, huh?" Lin Wan Yue curved up the corners of her lips. She reached out her fingers to lightly dance over the individual scratches on the wooden board. She answered calmly, "For every Hun that I've killed, I would carve a mark on this wooden board." Hearing Lin Wan Yue's explanation, Lin Yu gaped as he looked at her. He could not quite comprehend it. Lin Wan Yue did not let Lin Yu ponder over it for too long. She explained as if she was in her own world. "I was just afraid I might forget it. If I hurt my head one day, it's fine if I forget other things, but I have to remember this. I might as well tell you this today, too. If I died in whatever situation one day, please take this wooden board to the outskirts, to a place called Chanjuan Village. Help me burn this wooden board at the village entrance. Then, just say Fei Xing has done all he could." Lin Wan Yue's voice was very quiet, and her expression was also very mild, but Lin Yu could hear an indescribable desolation from her voice. "I don't care. If you want to burn it with your own hands. What's all this depressing talk? Guh, us brothers still have to build success in life together." Lin Wan Yue muttered self-mockingly after listening to Lin Yu's assurances. How could someone like me build success in life? But those words had an entirely different meaning when it entered Lin Yu's ears. Seeing that Lin Wan Yue was speaking so obviously, Lin Yu did not wish to beat around the bush anymore. Oh no. He put down his food bowl to say seriously to Lin Wan Yue, "Guh, actually, I already know everything about you." The wooden board fell from Lin Wan Yue's hands to clatter on the floor. Presently, Lin Wan Yue's mind was a field of empty white. Was she about to be beheaded? Was her ending actually going to be like this? But there were still 60 left. Seeing that Lin Wan Yue's face had gone all white, Lin Yu felt even surer of his own assumptions now. So he continued to say, "Guh, I know that your buddy, to pass on the generations, has been injured. But you shouldn't get so dejected. To be able to survive in the military camp is already a great fortune among misfortune. Just wait. If I married a wife, I would definitely let you adopt a big fat little laddie. You can rest assured, Guh." Oh my god, you're giving away your firstborn. Oh my god. Passing on the generations. Adopt a big fat little laddie? Lin Wan Yue's mind turned around quickly. She comprehended Lin Yu's meaning. So it was like that. The heavy weight on Lin Wan Yue's heart had been halved away in an instant. Her complexion warmed up. She patted Lin Yu's shoulder. "All right, both of us must live on properly." Seeing that Lin Wan Yue's spirit had been brightened up, Lin Yu's heart turned cheerful too. The two brothers ate a meal merrily together, and nothing more needed to be said. After the meal, Lin Yu left the tent with the bowls after he instructed Lin Wan Yue to have a proper rest. Lin Wan Yue laid on the bed, then she breathed out heavily. Her heart rejoiced from surviving a disaster, but the danger still remained nonetheless. Lin Wan Yue could not quite smile just yet. Lin Wan Yue remembered that when she was 13, her mom had once told her about the monthly matters before. A girl would have grown up after her first period, and from then on it would become regular every month. She'd somehow managed to hide it this time, but what about next time? Lin Wanyua held the wooden board that was marked with 58 irregular scratches to her chest. Her memories returned to Chanjuan village once again. She returned to the mountains there, the waters, the people. Village Chief Yang had loved his people like his children. Head guard Zhang was fair and impartial. Auntie Wu's pan-fried corn cakes were especially fragrant and sweet. Yu, who lived at the west of the village, always bullied Fei Xing. That old doctor who suddenly moved into the east of the village when she was 8 that year, he never accepted money when he treated others. He should be someone who deserved respect, but he insisted people could just call him the old doctor. Suddenly a spark flashed in Lin Wanyua's mind. Aye! You lass, this medicinal herb doesn't need you messing around with it. The old doctor had always liked her, and she would always run to his place, too. After that, he started to teach her some medicinal theory, and to recognize some medicinal herbs. She could already treat ailments like minor colds or headaches when she was 14. She remembered there was a day in the old doctor's pharmacy when she saw a medicinal herb that was completely black. She reached out to take it, as she intended to help pound it to mush. But the old doctor, who'd always been genial, suddenly had a temper. He snatched away the medicinal herb from her hand as he scolded her fiercely. Lin Wanyua bawled angrily. The old doctor then said to her, You lass, you truly don't know when someone's good to you. Your second Uncle Hua had hurt half his side doing conscript labor, and now he has an infected boil. This medicinal herb is called Yao Wang flower. Matched with a few warming medicinal ingredients, it's best for treating infections. But it would be greatly far from good to ingest it on its own, especially for girls. The Yao Wang flower is a very chilling ingredient. With one accident, you won't be able to be a mother in the future. This old doctor has just saved you, yet you're crying like that. Here, wipe your tears. A fuzzy memory turned clear all of a sudden. Lin Wanyua snapped up from the wooden bed immediately. The Yao Wang flower. Dun dun dun. I wonder if that's based on anything real. I mean, I can't imagine there's a flower that you just eat it and your uterus falls out. I don't know about all that, but... Thank you guys for listening. We're going to call it there. We're now on chapter 8 next time. I'm getting into this story. It's really good. Very fun. First historical novel I think I've read. I've read a lot of wuxia and the fantasy stuff, but not just pure history, so this will be fun. Thanks for listening. I'll be back in a bit with more things to do. I'll probably jump on Discord and see who's available, what we want to do. I need to eat lunch and then we'll go from there. Either Discord, movie, or play games, something like that. Devotion is now available! The game that got banned in China, they're now selling it again, and I bought it, so we're gonna play that after I beat Dishonored. We'll get to that. That'll be fun. If you like what I do and you want to support it, please become a member. You can get extra bonus content for as little as 99 cents a month. Thank you to everyone who is a member, like Delvin, and Jeff, and Phil, and Daniel. And we had a new person join today. Let's see if I can scroll up and find the name. Julie, thank you so much again, Julie. Thank you guys. I'll be back in probably 2 hours and we'll do more stuff. If you haven't joined the Discord, you should. We watch TV, a lot of Chinese stuff. It's either usually gay, Chinese, horror. One of the three or all of the three. We do need to watch those Chinese Ring movies. Man, I'm excited about those. So yeah, working on setting up the website again, getting bonuses back out there on a new site, so hopefully that'll happen soon. Until next time, bye.